left out art.
So, um, when we think of impressionism, it's more, even though technically it's a lot about light and color and these types of things, and the technical handling of the paint. Well, if you'll notice, he has a lot of that, and he's actually before impressionism. I mean, early on. So, but he's kind of a bridge artist. You can see in his work how impressionism starts to happen, but he's what you call a realist, and it's different than an impressionism. If you can see, the palette is not so, it's not pretty colors. He's not going to doll anything up really. I mean, a little bit here and there, but I mean, he really is. It's pretty real to life, and then he wants to tackle real life subject matters instead of, you got the beautiful lady sitting in the park. Oftentimes you see an impressionism, and even here, even though he paints them in more of a realist manner, not idealizing the situation. Okay, so here we go.
And we're going to start with this painting, the stone breaking. Now, what we're seeing here is something a little bit different. This is a view into the lives of rural menial laborers. Breaking stone was a job for the lowest of the low. It's the sort of thing that people really don't want to do. And what we see is he's juxtaposing youth and age, and in doing so, the artist suggests that those born into poverty
Instead, he will live his life breaking stones. And this almost seems like a caste system. And that's what Courbet is getting at. That there should be some sense of mobility. We shouldn't have a young man working breaking stone with no promise of doing anything else with his life. The composition, you'll notice, is very simple. We have the idea of the older man breaking the stone with his hammer into smaller and smaller pieces, the young man picking them up, carrying them off somewhere else. And he's not hiding anything. These figures are not idealized. In fact, a lot isn't idealized just in terms of the composition. For example, the young man falls into shadow. He becomes anonymous. But maybe that's more powerful because we can imagine ourselves as the young man. The old man, again, his hat, the shadow cast by his hat hides his facial features. We know he's older, but we can't tell anything else. It creates a sense of relatability by giving us an opening in which we can enter into the painting. The other details are there. The spoon, the pot, the hammer. We get a sense of what it really would be like to be there. Now, at this time, labor rights were becoming a concern in France. Following
Just quickly, if you notice, he's not really talking about the painting technique. And I don't think he really does. He might briefly mention it, or somebody might, but it's more of a social commentary type of piece. And I used to do things like this, so I understand. And then I went back to more impressionistic ways of working because it's more about aesthetics. And this really isn't, even though it has a beautiful aesthetic to it, and has kind of a rugged feeling to it, but it's really, and it suits the subject matter very well. So he's we would call it social commentary. Not always, realism isn't always social commentary, but in this case, you can deduce that out of it. There we go.
1848 rebellion against the bourgeoisie. And we're going to see these labor right issues coming up in the US and in Europe over and over again, starting with the Industrial Revolution, running all the way up to today. There's still labor issues to be hashed out. What's fair, what's unfair, what's appropriate, and what's not appropriate. He's getting at these ideas in 1849, very different environment. You would be working 16-hour days, maybe an 8-hour day on Sunday. It's a very difficult work environment, and this could apply not just to stonebreakers, but to anyone in a textile mill, in a dye factory, in any number of different places. Now, there's one other complicating factor with this painting, which is that it is destroyed in World War II. So we are limited to photographs that were taken prior to its destruction.
Sorry about that. Oh. Oh, that was it. Okay, what do we got here? Sorry. Oh, is this just going to play music? No.
On canvas
There we
by
go.
Gustave Courbet from 1849, which he actually signed in the bottom corner. Courbet was one of the leading figures of realism in the 19th century, with a good majority of his art showing the working class or peasants, which were typically people not shown in art. Courbet was known for depicting images that were deemed unworthy by the general public, and the Stonebreakers follows along with this style.
This piece was first exhibited at the Paris Salon in 1850 and was destroyed about a century later.
Rob, I can hardly hear it.
Yeah, I can't hear it either.
You can't hear it?
No,
No, could barely.
it's just like a whisper.
It's not loud enough.
These paintings are not.
Well, her voice is pretty low, but
No, it's really too low.
now your voices are coming through really loud. I wonder why that is. Because I have the volume way up. Here, Shay. How about this?
Romanticized or idealized at all. In fact, he was inspired by the
She's kind of got a mousy voice, but is that okay?
1948
It's
peasant.
better.
Soft.
Better, but not good.
They use this oil paint on canvas.
I mean, like your voices are coming through like extremely loud on my end. So there's something wrong with the audio.
Something wrong, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we maybe turned our audio way up too.
Yeah, why don't you turn yours up?
Mine's up full.
I have this up on full blast. I mean, I could turn mine up more here.
Canvas to illustrate two male figures, with the figure
Much
on the
better.
left
Yeah, that's better.
and the figure on the right.
Okay.
The older man seems to be breaking the rocks apart, while the younger figure carries them someplace else.
Enough full faces are shown across the canvas. We can see a small portion of the older man's face, with some small details illustrated in the wrinkles. But the younger male's face is not shown at all.
The younger male's face falls into the shadows, which makes him become anonymous and therefore makes this piece relatable to the audience. The face being absent from the painting allows the audience's mind to wander and imagine themselves as the figure, putting themselves in the shoes of the harsh, menial workers. And the same thing could be said about the older male. The hat that covers his head casts a shadow on his face, only leaving a small bit of skin around his mouth for the light to hit.
Gustave Courbet's intention with this piece was for improved French worker conditions and a more equal distribution of wealth. The heavy labor illustrated was typically reserved as punishment for chain gangs, so this leads us to the question, are these men part of a chain gang?
So we can see how this painting does not represent the ideal working conditions of the late 1840s, and how that could possibly illustrate that these men are in a chain gang. But almost always, the chain gang convicts would have metal chains placed around their ankles, which would act as a precaution for them to not escape. And this painting does not have any chains present or any signs that the chains were there at a certain time. So no, these figures were most likely not in a chain gang. In the 19th century, breaking stones was a job executed by the lowest of low. It was a job that most people strayed away from if they could. This is evident from the torn clothing that is covered.
I guess they're not really saying much more. I thought it was the other video was so short. I thought I'd
And this piece was most likely inspired by a scene that
add something a little more elaborate, but it's not really that much more elaborate.
And both figures.
And she speaks so fast. It's like she's reading something.
That they are
Yeah.
We're like high school kids. Okay.
Hinting at the poorly established labor rights there too.
Okay, so we heard that.
Gustave Courbet portrays two workers in the process of breaking rocks.
We know that.
Smaller side. So Courbet making Stonebreakers the size it is was possibly a stylistic choice to really focus in on the details.
Yeah, and since this painting is so large, the figures depicted are actually life-sized, showing the laborers on a scale that was typically reserved for the elite.
Jumping into Courbet's style, we can compare the Stonebreakers to another one of his famous pieces, Le Broncontre. Le Broncontre is also an oil painting that depicts the artist on the way to meet the piece's patron and his servant. This would also be classified as a genre painting due to the unposed naturality of the piece. Courbet also uses rough brushstrokes, which contrasts the idea of neoclassicism.
Sadly, this painting was destroyed in 1945 during World War II's The Bombing of Dresden. When Allied forces bombed the vehicle transporting the painting, it got destroyed along with 150 others. The Stonebreakers was one of Courbet's great works and was described as an icon of the peasant world. And through his powerful realism, Courbet became a pioneering figure in the history of modernism.
Okay, here's another one. This one's.
In the specific case of Gustave Courbet, he saw both an artistic and a political awakening a few years after he painted Man in Despair.
So as you can see, it's a pretty classical technique right here. Almost reminiscent of Caravaggio or something. And then he gets, well, I'm not sure if they're going to show it, but he does get pretty thick and loose, and even palette knife. I mean, there's one in the Norton Simon Museum of lots of palette knife going on in that piece. So you can see the transitioning from an older academic way of thinking to a newer modern way of thinking in one man's work. So he becomes very influential.
1948. This was a crucial year for him, not only related to the political state of France, which witnessed the birth of socialism, but also in regards to his personal
Now, here you go. Very classical, right? Okay.
Courbet's provocative personality
Great hand.
could not even resist to show in his works his resentment of Alfred Bruyère's high status, an art collector and his patron since the early 1850s. For example, in the painting Bonjour, Monsieur Courbet, painted in 1854.
Wait, is he saying, is she saying that he had disdain for his patron? Is that right?
Yeah, yes.
Wow. How about that? I'm going to paint you with disdain and you're going to buy it.
And it's showing in his facial expression.
Yeah. Look at this. There we go.
Of Alfred Bruyère's high status, an art collector and his patron since the early 1850s. For example, in the painting Bonjour, Monsieur Courbet, painted in 1850.
Like he's looking at him like, you're going to buy my artwork? Oh my gosh. I guess so. I got to pay the bills, but really.
54. Many of his iconic paintings actually present Courbet's strong opinions about French society and the political state of the country, reaching its peak with the notorious...
So I guess what I'm trying to say with Courbet is that you can, painting isn't all, it can be an aesthetic thing. It can be just an aesthetic thing. Like, let's say, somebody like Matisse might not be so interested in making a commentary on the world around him. Maybe it's just a beautiful piece of artwork. In this case, though, he typically is making some pretty bold statements here about society. So even in Impressionism, you can kind of see it, but usually it's more of an aesthetic statement.
What is the statement with the skull and the man kind of on the right?
I know, right?
The man.
Oh, let's see. Let's see if she explains it.
Reaching its peak with the notorious painting, The Painter's Studio, painted in 1855.
I don't know, some sort of symbol. Oh, there it is. It's just a corner of this painting. This is a giant painting.
Oh.
Probably all kinds of symbolism going on there. Oh yeah, and all kinds of compositional things going on.
Skull.
Let's take a look here. Well, usually that's some sort of
Memento mori.
See how he cuts the corner off here and then shoots you back into the composition here with a dog? And then look, he's looking pretty much right at that skull, isn't he? We've got this figure, which I'm not really sure I understand. Is that a real figure hanging back there? I mean, what's he doing back there? Is somebody else painting back there? I don't know. It's beautiful figure painting though. And then
it looks like it's set up for, like a model for him to paint somehow.
Yeah, I mean,
From
if he
the
were painting
painting,
it,
he's looking right at it.
yeah, if he were painting it, I could understand. But anyway, you see how the viewers direct the eye, and even if you have someone looking out of the piece, it's not so much that that it's overpowering this person looking back into the piece. So directing the eye, right? And he's of course directing your eye into here. It's really about the artist, right? And he's where most of the contrast is, although you could argue she has quite a bit of contrast.
Yeah, she sort of takes the center because of being contrasting light color.
But right, I mean, you could be drawn in by this, and then she's looking at what he's doing. The kid is looking at what he's doing. How about this dog here, huh? Or is that a kitty cat? Looking back up into the situation. I mean, I don't know. He's just directing the eye, creating an adventure for the viewer. Remember, that they didn't have movies. They barely had photography at this point. So he's he's at that point where photography is about to make a big dent on visuals. So just remember, most people, even at this time, really didn't see many visual things. I mean, you would go outside and see your natural world, but to actually see a picture or even a print, or usually you'd have to go to your church to see that or something. And then it transitions at about this point, and photography and print get much more industrialized because we hit the Industrial Revolution. And then people would see many images a day, but still nothing like we do today. You're surrounded almost, they say we see somewhere in the order of 10,000 images a day. So we're just numb to it. But back then, seeing a painting like this it was like watching a movie. Okay, here we go.
55, it was a real allegory, summing up 7 years of his artistic and moral life.
Is that it? Okay. So I couldn't find one, so I did some small short ones, and I found some videos, 3 videos that just that they focus in on the stone breakers, because that was a main point I wanted to talk about. And no one's really talking about his technique because it's pretty traditional, except for later on when he gets pretty loose and almost impressionistic. I should probably show you some of that. I mean, the piece we're doing is not so much yeah, but he can get pretty loose in his later work. Let me just show you this really quick. So here we are in paintings that are, God, look at this. I mean, pretty traditional, right? Now he gets toward the later years. Look at this. That's almost an impressionism right there. There we go. Wow. It's almost abstract. Look at that. Look at this. Just the side of a wall and he'll do that, and you'll see you'll look hard at it, and then there's a deer in there, or something. How about this? Look at that. So that's very loose. loosely handled. So it really, you can see things transition right in his art. Now, isn't that great too? He does all the social commentary work, and then he just will be a landscape painter too. The guy's just multi-talented, many sides to him. Stormy seascape, but it's just nature. It's not really a comment. So it's pretty interesting to see how impressionistic he gets. I mean, this could almost be an early Monet, an early one. Not when he gets all colorful. I would have loved to see what Courbet would have done with a full color palette, just going crazy with the colors. I've never seen anything he did that was extremely colorful. This piece right here, is this? I was going to say, this is at the Norton Simon, yeah. This is one of the most colorful pieces I've ever seen of his. And I've got, it's right here in town. It's all palette knife. So, and I'm a palette knife painter, so I've spent a lot of time looking at this painting. And in my drawing class I have there, I've actually got to actually draw it from life. They won't let me paint from life, but maybe someday I'll be able to work something out. Okay. He's pretty good with that palette knife too. So, okay. Let's get our piece here and let's do a value study. Now the one I have, this is the study. And I don't know if this still exists or not. I don't know if this went up with the was destroyed as well or not. But I'll do this. It's a little more horizontal than it is. Let's see. Something like that. Yeah. Let me zoom in.
Hello everybody. Today we are going to do an experiment with the silk paper to copy or to study French master, social realist master Courbet's the Stonebreakers. In the background you can see my watercolor teacher Robert's class. But for this recording, I want to show you the preparation step I do before I paint. You can use some thicker support than the silk paper as backing material. You can use a piece of mixed media paper. I just take a sheet from this mixed media paper pad so I can keep them together just like this. And I also can do it on a cardstock to make it into a card, greeting card. This is a greeting card paper actually. So I'm going to do this process, and I use silicone paper for dry mounting. Someone asked me about the procedure, the proper procedure. Sometimes I mount the silk or the rice paper first. Sometimes I do the supporting first. I will say 99% of the time I will do the supporting first. Only in case that I need to ship it rolled, because after mounting you may have to keep it flat. or I don't have a proper supporting in hand. I can mount the silicone on the back of the painting material first, like silk or rice paper. Then, when I find the permanent support, I will transfer it. You can do that, but it's much easier to mount the backing paper first. If you want to paint it first before mounting, that's also doable, but it might ripple or wave, when you wet wash it. So I would definitely dry mount it first to make it easier. It's more like stretching the paper before you paint watercolor.
Now I want to go for the medium values. Okay, so a medium value would be a lot of these on. Well, let's just say the background. Okay, whereas the dark value would be.
I just put a
dark shadow, right?
A home iron on silk.
Some medium values. Okay.
A wall.
A lot of medium value in here.
Lowers. If you know which one iron, it doesn't matter actually, as far as the silicone is activated, and let it cool a little bit. So I mount this one as well. I put this here on mixed media paper. Okay. And this one is now cooled, so I can peel it off the release paper, and keep in mind this side the way it is, facing the exact same direction, because you need this to protect the painting surface canvas. Okay, like this. I put this back on top to protect it from dirt, iron.
You want to leave it light on the back.
Okay.
So
iron again, activate the film under in between.
Sometimes what you do is you do it just slightly darker.
So this procedure is easy, eliminate the chance of getting wrinkles after painting. If the shrinkage make it uneven, so it's much harder to flatten. And I don't use any water, by the way. Even with rice paper, you don't need. It's a dry mounting, completely dry mounting, so it's not mounted. By the way, if you want to, you can experiment and just mount two paper together. It will make 140 pound. If you double it, it will be 300 pound, right? So you can thicken normal weight paper into a super heavyweight paper with the same material, the silicone dry mounting film. Okay, I put this. I forgot which side is which. You can tell by touch. The gloss side facing the surface, so it's not stick on anything. Exposed underneath. Because this paper is toned, this silk is toned, so I don't need to do the background.
Down into the pockets of a lot of these rocks behind the shoes.
I just paint the figure and the rocks, stones in the foreground. I asked the Gemini AI to eliminate the background and stylize the original oil into a Chinese brush painting to foreseeing the effect. And I'm gonna now using brush and ink to give it warmth and breadth. So it's not exactly created by AI. Right? AI is definitely a tool, just like photography for realist art. And you might ask, how do I transfer my design onto the silk? The answer is I'm using an app called DaVinci's Eye, DaVinci Eyes app. You can download it. There's a fee, I think.
I would say the
one-time fee.
in the hat, in the
So
arm, or under the arm, or the
it's like a virtual projector to cast image virtually on the canvas to enlarge it
for a lot of these. I don't think they're quite as
for
great
copying,
as what I did. So
for tracing. So I can use
not as bright as it should.
erasable pen if I need. If I don't have time, I just paint directly in this case with brush to go without the pencil step. I just use my brush to trace, to paint or draw. I'm recycling this tape. Maybe I just put because it curves a little bit. So this is the cardstock. It's pretty unstable. So I'll just fix it with the tape. I'm just used to soft board, so I use felt. You don't need to use felt in this case, actually, but I feel I can move around, you know, instead of putting on the table. I don't have a board in hand, so I just use felt. Okay.
Which is pretty typical.
Rob is doing a color study. I'm going to do my Chinese brush painting method. So let's see. Okay, now you can see I virtually casted an image to the paper. You can see my hand there, right? So I'm going to use ink, and I grind my ink. Traditionally, just put a few drops of water, grind. It's a tone oil soot. You can get this from the website blueheronarts.com. I may use some I think Rob is doing the line first. It's similar to my procedure. So I was thinking to do the wash, like watercolor start from light, but I think I just do it with the line. Line doesn't exist in nature. It's subjective. So it will make this painting more expressive, calligraphic. Let's see. I need to record it. And I'll give you a time lapse recording. Okay. I'll do this easy part. This pens.
There really isn't a pure color in this. So take your And if you have brown, burnt sienna, burnt umber, you could use those if you like. Because they're already mixed for you, but I like to mix my own color. So, cad red, cad yellow, ultramarine blue. Alright, so
this patch, really interesting. It has a lot of influence in China. This artist, this painting, on the Chinese or Russian socialist realism. So it's big name in Chinese art history. Courbet's name is well known during my time when I studied art. In the Cultural Revolution era, the socialist realism just
and there's different colors of brown in
because he is a supporter of the Commune, you know, the French
background green or brown.
communist movement.
I'm just using ultramarine blue. I'm not even.
He's considered like the ancestor of the social realism art, painting laborers or the proletarian. I haven't used this word for a long time. Proletarian class life, not bourgeoisie. So that's kind of class struggle theory.
Or you can just say gray.
The Marxist
We just grade them down, that's all.
doctrine.
Colors first, kind of a greenish gray in the background. Values and everything, don't worry that they're not perfect. We're just wondering, you know, how do you mix those colors? And if you spend a little time doing this, it should help you. It gets you more clear on what you're doing. Maybe a touch more yellow in there. Sometimes I'll even put it off to the side. And I put a little bit more yellow in the back. See red? Since that's on my brush, the red or brown, how about I bring that down in here? Of course. Even redder. Color area. So I'm taking that same color and adding a little bit more cad red to it. On the back of his vest, well, I'm sorry, how about on the front of his vest? Yeah, the back of the vest, it's still green gray, but lighter. His face and hands are, so if you just go down into the red, yellow,
The stretch and Squeeze is what these wrinkles are
maybe
doing. Try to identify the planes. Okay.
So I'm gonna add more yellow to that as well. And a lot of the rocks are very light
Leather
in the yellow
jacket.
range. So
It's
I'm gonna
different than
make
the
sure I get some of this
shirt.
yellowy
Its
brown
thickness.
in there, almost like a yellow ochre, or and then they do get a little bit redder over here. So it's a little bit more red in this area.
You can enlarge this facial part.
Just not the most colorful piece, but if you look at lots of traditional academic type paintings aren't really colorful. Not like an impressionist piece. They thought impressionism was garish. Now, relatively speaking, the stainless steel or whatever that is on the pan is kind of cool compared to the background. So how warm the background is. It's on the cooler side, so I'm going to take a little blue and add it to my brown. It's not a blue color, but it's certainly a cooler color. There's a little green in there too. Whereas, right, the red is kind of on the yellow side. Cloth there, and some of these blazes of yellows and browns and the hat and the sleeve. Sleeve's pretty light.
Very light.
No, I'm not even seeing kind of a big blue.
Very thin material. It's like silk or hemp.
So I'm just going to take Prussian blue, thin it out like this. But see, glazed over this, it just looks like bluer. Put that there, maybe a little bit in the socks.
I'm not academic trained artist like Courbet or Robert, so if I have to study the draftsmanship, it would take another lifetime. I only have like 15, 20 years left, I guess, the most. So I want to paint. I don't want to learn the sketch anymore. So I don't have time to do that. I should have done that when I was teens, but I studied brush painting while my classmate studied sketch, like Western drawing. I studied landscape, birds and flowers, this kind of things. So
all right.
I never had a chance to study Western style, but because the heavy influence of social realism in Chinese contemporary art, I do know the basics, fundamentals of perspective, that kind of thing. So the more you learn different traditions, the more tools you will have. Right? There's a sum here. Okay. Look at the paper and the reference directory instead of looking at this phone. The phone app just helped me to position my composition better, so I don't make big proportion mistakes, or I have to avoid those pitfalls. Very easy for beginners, like or not trained academic painters like Robert, my teacher. He's really good at drawing.
Of course, we don't have both figures, that's why I chose this. Mainly.
The hammer has a woody handle, so it's
how they did it. And we can't get all the technique, of course. Obviously, he's working in oil.
Straight.
But you'd be surprised. You learn a lot. You can study in watercolor or gouache, whatever you want. I might use some white in this. So what I like to do first is just kind of scribble out about what size I want. Just lightly.
You see the scribble out positioning the step that's necessary if you don't trace. But since I don't have time to do that, I can do that with an erasable pen. But I omit that step completely, so I don't need to use the pencil or anything. Just go straight painting. I'm going to do this face. I like to do the hat first. And beware of the different materials, different line quality. This is straw.
Just giving yourself kind of a gesture.
Texture, shading.
I just kind of scribble these things out. I'll go right over it.
It's like cowboy.
It really helps just to loosely.
It will help me to do like horse class with cowboy here. Cowboy here, right? Western horse rider.
This is very traditional to draw this way.
Start with big shape, then adding details is a piece of cake. Just do the envelope.
If your proportions aren't perfect. Remember, it's a study, okay? You gotta keep your mind on the big. The hardest thing to do in art. Keeping your mind on the big issues.
Yeah, I agree. The big issues. And listen to Rob. I'll stop talking. I want to learn from Western tradition. That's why I'm doing this class.
Once I have something like that, was just a basic kind of gesture drawing.
Yeah, gesture drawing is
I think
basically
that
what the Chinese painting is.
I can see where things are generally, and even if things are off a little bit, I think I'm pretty good, pretty solid where things are. So I like to go for a pretty decent contour drawing at this point. And then just kind of comes up like that. His face really falls into a kind of a line there. And you got a jaw, collar. That collar goes way up there. Kind of a hunch back there a little bit.
A little bit
That's weird.
dry brush.
My calendar just reminded me I have a class this morning. And that I'm teaching the master study. What? You're a little late. All right. Unless I put down there I have class at 11. Okay. And I got that. I can come over here. Alright. And the hand. You know, usually when I draw hands, I think of the back of the hand like this. In this case, it's it's kind of a block. So if you can think of it like that, and then what you can do is just draw yourself a few lines.
We can't see the hand because somehow the painting, the other your squares for the color are over where you were drawing the hand. I'm not really understanding why I'm seeing it that way.
Can you see where my finger is?
Yeah, yeah. The thing you were doing on the side though, it's underneath the white piece, a square that is, I think it's a bit of a colored palette. It's underneath that. That's how we're seeing it on this side.
Oh, this.
Yeah, thank you. So we didn't see anything that you were saying.
Okay, well, so you take a line through the knuckles. Take a line through the knuckles, and then in this case, the back of the hand, he's grabbing onto something, so it's more in this kind of shape, like front into the sleeve when you look at it like that. Right, so you're looking at a shape like this. So I'll start off there. And then you got the thumb going up this way. I just give myself some lines, telling myself this is the direction, whatever finger you're there. So those are just gesture lines. You just tell me what the direction is. And then I can look at that and go, okay, well this thumb goes something like this. This finger like that. This one. Rest. But sometimes I might even do but that's usually how I do it. So if I draw a hand, I typically I think of the main part of the hand, the knuckles, part of the knuckle here. And whatever else is happening to the rest. Maybe they'll kind of go. But I just feel really basic stuff. Don't get too lost into this. Just grouping. So, I'll do almost contour.
French bread. Very interesting to see what they eat. When I was in France, I loved the morning fresh baguette. From the pastry. The host family buy every morning. So it's very different than the refrigerated. And croissant is also my favorite.
This is what I don't like is when students do this whole painting and they spend like 30 minutes on the hand.
Okay, this rocks just like a Chinese brush painting. You can feel, I feel very familiar with them.
There's not a lot of folding going on. What's the folding? So, in other words, what I'm trying to say is this part is stretchy. This part is compressing. Anytime you have a stretch, see my finger?
Yeah, he's talking about the compressing stretching.
So it's just that's just one of those things in that artists have to know. Okay, and so I'll just mention those things as we go around, and something that you should. I remember the first time I heard that, I was really blown away. I'm like, I've been drawing all these years and I didn't know that. Who told me was a comic artist. They know all kinds of stuff. Okay, so now here's the same thing. Now the knee's bending here, and we get a compression there. 1, 2, 3. You see how that works? All right. scene of the payments. Okay. We've got a shoe that just sort of looks like his heels are sticking out there, right? Makes it pink in the back because the socks don't cover his heels. All right, so let's do the other leg now. And you could just start it off like that if you like. Again, the stretch here. There's something to know about clothes do that. You sure would have a problem doing folds if you didn't know that concept. You could do it just by observation, but eventually, once you understand that every time you have a compression, you're gonna have some sort of stretch along with that. All right, so here we go. There it is. Around there. A little wrinkle in there. So sometimes I'll just like put a couple. Those are just indication. I'm not actually gonna render it all out and shade it in my pen, which I could do and just glaze over it, but like if you look in this part, see right under his leg right there, you get a little bit of a kind of a turn in the form right in here. So I'll do that. And I might turn it again here. Just with the pen. And the pen just tells me what direction things are going, etc. When I go over that, it just helps. That's all. So he's got like clogs on it or something. They look cloggy. All right. So again, oftentimes what I like to do on things like this is just kind of get the outline going first, like this. Once I have that, I kind of break in. All right. That gets pretty dark around there. I get a neat little shadow. Just kind of curls around. Pretty dark under there too. See, there's a little secret too. If you're doing pen and ink, you can take care of a few of your little darks with the pen. You don't have to, but it's a time saver. Even under here. I don't know. We'll see. Let's get that out here. Yeah, I give him kind of a long arm there. I'm not going to sweat it. I still think his hat's a little on the small side. A nice little shadow. And he's the main thing. I don't need much more drawing than this for this. For this tree. All right. And we have this embankment there. And some sort of pickaxe tool or something. Tools of the trade. Now, what am I talking about? I used to go out in the and go fossil hunting. So we did do a lot of pickaxing. Not this kind of stuff though. And I would just make up some rocks. I don't think that they have to be all that perfect. We don't really have time. Over here. I mean, really, if we were really doing a proper study of this, it would take some serious time. I had a class once where we were studying masters, and we would take a whole 8-hour day, and even that wasn't enough time. They have academies that will spend a whole term on a painting. You're talking a month or two? Little groupings. Okay. Bread. All right, well, not bad, not bad. Could be worse. Even here, you get a little bit of a crease. And so it'll be stretching here. And so let's start laying in some color. I'll put in my color pretty flat first. Not unlike the little study. Should I include the study? I don't think I need that, right? Yeah. Okay. And I like to take care of my big areas first. So get that red, yellow, and blue going there. I need a lot of it. And then I'll just start laying in color. It's pretty dark. I forgot his hand down below, didn't I? See? Again. Oh, no, I got it. There. He's got a little bit of shirt in there, doesn't he? It's so similar to the values around it. I didn't even see it. All right. See dark back there. Whoops. Oh, on the dark side. There we go. Is that too green? It's a lot of red in there. Just put this back in here. Get more red in that. Especially see a lot of red in there. Down in here. Okay. There's the trunk of the tree. Down in here, starts getting redder. Maybe even a little bit of orange in that. In places. A little bit of yellow in my red. There it is. And over here. Maybe a little more yellow in it. Even all this is pretty yellow. This. Yellows and blues and grays. These are Courbet colors right here. That's the thing. You want to get those variation of grays. You'll find other artists like this sort of palette as well. It's a dirty palette. Some people call it the mud palette. It's just all the colors are worked into each other, and they go to of course they go together very well. Right. A loaf of bread here, a little bit on the yellowy brown side. Maybe a touch yellower than that. And so this will be a little bit on the bluer side. So you just keep mixing those browns into everything. Obviously, they're in everything, right? And you will get, all your color just goes together. I know artists that still use this. Lucian Freud uses this palette. But it's a sort of brushy aluminum quality there. warmer, lighter. Let's start filling him in now. In the hat, I'm seeing just a lot of like dirty yellows and greens. And another thing you can do, you can avoid out those highlights, or you can come back and hit them with white. I do both. I'll just do that here. I think this is pretty good for the hat, but I can see in the background it needs to go darker. Just set that hat off. So this is something worth your while to get a little contrast. Understanding that principle. Sometimes you just need dark around it. He really blasts it right here, right on the edge. He just really hits it. Right. A little bit of a bill here. And under the bill, pretty dark in there. We'll go with kind of a reddish orange color for the face. Let me just take that out there. I'll get a little bit greener next to his face. Maybe a little bit yellow in that. As well. I'm thinking that's the color. Thinking it's a little lighter down here. I'll just take that off a little bit. So all I did was I laid the color down. Let's say on the hands. I'll lay the color down. And if I see it's lighter in an area, I'll just dry off my brush. Just taking all the pigment on the brush and pull it out like that. And that should pull it out. So I do that. Maybe a little bit more red in the hands. Now what they would do is do all this, let it dry for a week or two, and then come back and glaze in a lot of the colors. So a lot of these colors you see over the rocks and whatever, you can see how it goes from yellow to blue to red in his rocks. That's all glazed in. We can do a little glazing. I can do a little bit with more color, but not too much. Okay. And I can come in the shirt here and some of that. For the highlights, I could use white, or and I can use my brush, just take out the pigment in there and then just take it off. Certain areas. It's not bad. Come back around here. He gets some of this red up in his collar. And in here. A couple of little kind of a light gray. Not unlike the background with this vest, but it's the value that really makes the difference in here. So Now these are becoming pretty similar values. I need to go darker with this and lighter with this. So I'll come back here and lighten that up a little bit. Again, I'm just picking it up with this, just picking it up, moving it over, and then in the background, I'll come back to a darker color. Even darker. Get that to pop out through value. Makes a big deal out of this man's tools of his trade here. And you notice how he really hits that little shadow here too. It's a little wet for me to be doing this right now, but and that also gets it to pop out on here. Of course, this shadow across here. And here. Got this brown for the pants. Red, yellow, and blue. A little bit redder than that. Okay. Like that to start off with. Maybe I'll take that little bit of Prussian blue and just hit that on his knee here. And maybe, right over his sock too. Okay. More of that color. Glazing these shoes down a little bit. And then I am going to go around and just start hitting a few little darks here and there, just to get things popping a little bit. You know, even between the rocks here and there. And you know, I really wouldn't spend too much time on the rocks. Maybe just a little bit here and there. If you have more time, you can devote that to them, but I would say spend most of your time on the man here. And so if my background just ends up like that, I think that's fine. And this tree is nice and all, but it's not really the theme of the painting. And you kind of pick your little battles. I like how he makes things pop by just hitting a little bit of line on the contour, a soft line. I think it's things that jump out that way. So here and there, just give myself a few dark things. Right, especially he likes to make a big deal out of those shoes. This man is wearing clogs. How would you like to do labor all day in clogs? I don't know. Okay, a little shadow under there. You see, a lot of my values have dried so much lighter, and that's just the way it is in watercolor. What can really help is when you come back and hit these little darks, like in here, in there, you can see your values really well. Like he has a serious dark under here, so I'll just hit that dark, and I can see, wow, that's really light over here. So, but I think my color's right, and that usually is what happens in watercolor. Happens in every painting I do. And so just come back and get some value in there. So that's pretty good in there. Got that color going. Below here, along the edge of the hand, here too. Underneath the head of this hammer, and then in the back here. Here too. Lefty. That really makes it look light. So definitely got something dark back here. Popping the pan out. Little contours down here. Making a bit of a dark right in here in the core. Okay. Keeping it kind of rough and rickety. That's giving these a little bit of time to dry up, although I can see that my darks are still a little wet. But I can come back in with some more middle tone, a darker middle tone of brown. So my darks are fine. My lighter parts are fine. I just want to hit these like that are in the middle, like right in here. Right in here. Here. in the back of this. Those. Softening the edge a little bit. Just a damp brush, no water in there. There we go. So right, all of this needs to go darker. And then right around here it starts coming out into the light. There's the light part up in there. And I still think that's a little light. I'll leave that and glaze those in later. Just move on here. A little bit darker. The shoes. A little. But these are dark. These bands here. I'll thin that out. Put that down. And that's a little bit on the yellowy orange side. Glazes those in. Oh, dark in the background here. I mean, he's doing quite a bit of staging of the shoes. A little bit darker on both shoes. He wants you to know that's. This man's shoes are his life, and it's probably painful being in those wooden shoes. I think they are. They're clogs. I can come back and glaze something a little bit darker. Or the pants. Some of those little shady things. I've told myself with my little pen marks which direction to kind of go. I showed you earlier, see I'm going this direction with my brush strokes. Because that's what the direction I drew it down in. Makes sense. Feels like the direction of the form, so I put it down that way. Just knocking that one down a little bit. So that highlight doesn't compete with this one. This one's the major one. Some dark in there. And what else? This guy. Dark back there. Stand out a little bit. Trees got a little bit of shadow on it. Let's do a little dry brushing up there. And you know, actually the rocks are a lot of good practice for you because they're just forms. So there's many different approaches. Like sometimes what I like to do is just come back with these cracks, the little darks in between the rocks, and sort of articulate them a little bit. I almost don't even need the picture because the pen's already telling me which direction to go. All right. That's good enough for there. A few of these guys in here. And you can kind of make them up. I look at the way he does rocks and then I improvise on them. Not too much, but enough to save me a little time. And these little shadows in here aren't really dark, so just paint a few little. Darker. And again, so I have the light and the dark part of the shadow. Let's hit a lot of medium color in there. It's kind of in the reds and yellows. See some of this. So the light's, coming from the top and a little bit to the left in this sort of direction here. So give them a little bit more pure in color. I like that. Okay. I'll just leave it light on the tops. Over these ones are a little bit different colors. Kind of an abbreviated rock thing. Now I can get in here with this dark and just kind of smooth it out so it won't be so hard edged. I kind of like it like that. It's an abbreviated rock idea. Something under his jaw there. quite a bit yellower down in here. So, one thing I'll do is just take a little bit of white. I hardly need any. And in areas that need maybe a little bit of highlight, like maybe up in here, I can come back, highlight an area. Top of his arm, top of the hat, and the brim of the hat. That'll dry differently. And he does it on quite a bit of the rocks too. So you can even build up some of your rocks that way. And then let it dry and glaze them down again. That takes time, just because you gotta wait for things to dry. You can hit it with a hairdryer and get it to dry faster, but it still takes time. So anywhere else? Maybe on the top of the shoes there a little bit. Let dry. Usually in the end of the painting, I'm thinking about highlights and darks. And in any kind of detail. It's better to get all these big general things going and then get into details. Now I can detail away. It's pretty typical in a lot of these paintings that the glaze will be kind of an amber color. They would use Damar varnish and linseed oil and turpentine, depending on in different kind of measurements depending on the person. Everybody has a little bit different style, a little bit different recipe. I think, let's see. Is it still? knock back the highlights a little bit. Knock them back more. If you keep working on the white though, it'll pick up on you. So just know that. That's my clue to move on. I guess he has a bigger sleeve than that. So what I could do is just take a little bit of that white. I could just do it in white. So I'll just bring that down here. I don't have very much distance from the knee here to hit his arm. So I just made that a little bit. In this case, I actually mixed a little bit of it, the white mixed in with the color. I think that's just fine with me. I'll wait for it to dry and see what it needs. Almost always we need a little bit of something. A little light in there, a little shadow in there. Yeah, he really comes in with some. Dark back there. Alright, well that's good enough. It makes his things stand out. And that's all that really matters. Dark in here. Nice. The darks and the highlights make things stand out. Oh, that's fun. Sometimes, no, I'll highlight like this, I'll just glaze it down a little bit. See what else it needs. had a little bit bigger. I'll come back and glaze that down after that dries. So, how about we take a, no, I'll give you 15 minutes, okay? Because I think this might be a little longer. What do you think? 15 or 10?
15 sounds good.
10.
10?
Make the 15 or 10. Somewhere in between, 13 minutes, okay? I'll come and see how you guys are doing. So there's a lot of people at 10, I'll start at 10. All right. Okey-dokey. No. Oh, is everybody? What's that? I think everybody's returning in here, aren't they? Okay. 10 people now. There's 20s. That's weird. There's only 10 people in the class. I have like, let's see. I thought there was a lot more than that. Landscapes. I have 21, 22, 23, 24 people in this class. That many people didn't show up? Wow. Maybe people are just taking the video, which is perfectly fine if you want to do that. Just turn in your work. I can even critique it in class if you like. Just say you want me to critique it in class, and if you want to do it by video and then have me critique it on the next class, you'll see it in the critiques. Or just send it to me via email and I'll critique it that way. So, either way. Okay, see you in a little bit. Right. All right, Bob. You ready to start, Bob? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I'm here.
Yes, Bob. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we still only have 1, 2, 3, 4. That's good enough to get going here. All right. You're going for the big one.
What I did was take one of the earlier versions of this stonecutter where the guy was flopped, obviously going in the other direction, and then move the kid over to the right.
Yeah.
So that I could get more of a story out of it. But anyway, so you can see it's just, it's the beginning of an exploration of my idea of what he was doing with this stonecutter image.
He's looking toward the future. Like, maybe I can get out of this mess.
Yeah.
No. It's so sad. Elon Musk says that they're going to have robots be doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
We'll see. All right, well, beautiful. I love how you draw with the brush.
Oh, thanks.
So we, not only do we have line, but we also have movement, rhythm, all, and with the brush. So most people think that a brush is just for the tonal thing that you're doing back here. But you're using it also for the linear thing as well. And drawing, I think the brush is the best drawing instrument.
Yeah, I've really come to use that more and more in this class because of your, you're urging us to go in a direction.
Yeah.
It's a nice, it takes a lot of practice and there's a lot of fluidity in the line, but yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to do.
Yeah, and I like how we have this head out in front of the body. You can see the spine. You really push that, and you've got the pelvis here, and then the way you're running down the front of the back, the front of the leg, catching the back of the leg all the way down to the toe there, front to the same. Lots of rhythm going there. Lots of fun. Fun to look at. Let's look at it small. Yeah. Maybe some more darks. That's typical of a watercolor. He does really blast those, like you're doing around here. He does really blast those darks.
Yeah.
So that's something to think about.
It really does.
But anyway. Nice looking study there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. And we're moving on. Henry. Wow. Nice one, Henry. Wow.
Thank you,
Bob. That background color is a perfect ground for this color.
Yeah, I planned ahead of it to use that paper.
Nice. Nice looking line. So you do all your lines first?
Yes, I did.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, that golden color in the background comes through and just harmonizes all your other colors. Brings them all together.
Yeah, I save sometimes on doing the backgrounds this way. Still a lot.
Yeah, right. I mean, I put a lot of time into my background when I could have been putting more time into the figure. So that's nice that yours is already there. In a way, it saves your time. Yeah, nice looking darks, great looking line. Nice rocks. Oh,
Yeah, I love
Good way
this.
to box. Yeah, look at that. Nice shadow. I like the character of this hat here.
Thank you.
Oh, it has, you know, it has. It's not perfect. It looks like it's weathered. You got the reds, yellows, and blues going on in this tone here. You don't have to worry about the yellows; they're already there.
Yeah.
Although you are hitting some yellows in there, even yellow.
Yeah, I make the straw a little bit yellow. So I use the 3 primaries and plus the black and white.
Yeah. Beautiful work.
A great choice for the new year. I'm very familiar with his name, but never painted, studied him. I think did we do before? I forgot. Yeah, it's a big name in social realism in Russia and China.
Yeah.
They treat him as the ancestor of proletarian art.
Right. It basically is social realism, right?
Yeah.
And you know, if you want to see some, we have a couple here at the Norton Simon.
Oh, I didn't notice that. I would definitely go there, check out.
Oh.
I didn't know his landscape paintings. I love those. You should.
I know. There's a whole other side to him. He does these beautiful nature paintings. They're really. Actually, my wife likes Courbet the best.
Oh.
It's her favorite. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Henry.
Thank you.
And Laura.